Scales. So the assessment you have here, or the scales assessment, first I want you guys to understand how to read the scale. And I'm going to go over it right now just to make sure that we understand. But before I change to the camera, I want to show you what you need to do. If you go to view assessment, here is where you're going to answer. You notice it's going to be just 1, 2, 3, and you're like, okay, what is it that I need to answer here? Well, here is the PDF. You click on it. Okay. What you can do, or what you need to do, is download it. Okay, download it. And once you download it, go ahead and print it. Okay, go ahead and print it. And get your printer and go ahead and print it. Okay, make sure on scale, put fit to paper so it scales to the size that it should be. And then press print. Okay, so that's the process for you to get this right here, because you need it to actually find the measurements with the scale that hopefully you guys have already, the architectural scale. So this is the architectural scale. Okay, let me try to put it like that so you guys can see it. So if you see here, we have different, the scale itself, okay, we have different numbers, a bunch of lines, and you're going to notice that on each individual line, you're going to have a number in the corner, right? You're going to have a 0, and then you're going to have a bunch of numbers that go up that way, and then small numbers that go this way, right? You're also going to notice, for example, the regular or the full scale that you know. The full or regular scale that you have been using since you were in elementary, it's called the, it's called the full scale, right? Which has 12 inches, all right? 12 inches, because 12 inches equals a foot. And keep that in mind. 12 inches equals a foot. It's very important. So this is the only one that looks normal, right? It looks normal. The rest are going to have a bunch of numbers, a bunch of lines, and notice for the rest that they're going to be sharing the space. For example, this one here, if you read it, it says 330 seconds, and then, but if you keep on going, you go to the other end, it's going to say 3/16. Okay? What this means is that this surface is sharing two different scales, the 3/16 scale and the 3/32 scale, right? Same thing on this one. Now you're going to notice some scales are going to be bigger than the other ones. This is a 1.5 scale. And if you go to the other side, this is a 3-inch scale. That's the first thing. We need to know that on each surface, there's going to be scales that are going to be shared at the same surface of the scale, right? Now, what Diana asked is very important, right? I'm going to go back to the full scale, right? Full scale, you're going to notice that it goes from, okay, it goes from 0, which is you start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 12. Notice that this one doesn't have a bunch of numbers like these right here. Okay, so this right here from, this is 1 inch, you get to 12 inches, this is a foot, right? Now, watch that same concept. Let me find a scale that is a little bit bigger. Let's get the half scale, this right here, right? The question was by Diana that why do we have a 0 and a bunch of lines, right? When it comes to these scales here, right, aside from the full scale, all the rest of the scales is divided between feet and inches, right? Feet and inches. So put it here in the back. I might write it backwards, but feet and inches. Feet and inches. Oops. Okay, la canción. Ahí está. Right? How many inches in a foot?
12.
12. Keep that in mind. 12 inches. I'm putting it backwards. 12. No, está al revés, como quiera. But you get it. 12 inches equals 1 foot. Whenever you have two lines, that means inches. Whenever you have one line, that means a foot. Right? So 12 inches equals a foot. Now, keep that in mind. Let's look at the half scale. It's going to tell us there that it's a half scale. First thing we need to figure out is find 0. 0 is going to divide the feet in the inches on all the scales, except the full scale. So we have 0 right there. Okay, you're going to notice that 0, in this case, from 0 to our left, okay, you see a number right next to it that is 10, and then 2, and then 9, and then 4, and then 8. So it's kind of confusing, right? But also notice that these numbers are aligned differently. 2 and 4, notice that they're aligned. They're a little bit higher on the surface right here. And you can see it visually. It's 2, 4, 6, 8. And also you can see that 10 and 9 and 8 and 7, the lines are a little bit longer. Can you see that? Okay, so visually, it's telling us, remember, that's why I started saying that each surface is going to be labeled, is going to be sharing the surface. So that means that the numbers that go up from 0, from right to left, those are going to be for the half scale. All right, 0, 2, so that means that where 10 is, for the half scale, it's 1. Right, it's just that it's sharing that space. Does that make sense? So for the half scale, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Right? If we go to the other side, notice we have 0, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay? Are we good there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the ones that I'm counting right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, or if I go there on this scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are feet. Right? These are feet. Best way to think of it is, okay, what 0 is, the big spaces are feet, the small spaces are inches. Okay? Are we good? So 0 divides feet and inches. These are feet. The longer space numbers are feet, and you have to figure out, kind of just with common sense, which are the feet. Right? So that's 1. If this is 2, this is 4. That means this is 1. This is 3. Right? You can make that up. And then these right here, these are going to be the inches. So 0 separates feet and inches. Now, remember what I told you. 12 inches equals a foot. On the spacing here, it's very important. You start from 0. You're going to count these lines. Now, the value of each space is not going to be the same for all the scales. If you were to count, do you guys have your scale with you? No, you haven't bought it.
I have mine.
You have yours. Okay, Diana, look at your scale. And how many lines you have from 0 to the end? If you could count, and how many lines you have? Right here. I would count 24. Perfect. You have 24 lines, right? Now remember, 12 inches equals a foot. All right. From 0 to the end, we have to get a foot. We have to. All right? It's a foot. And actually, if you see it visually, this from here to here is the same distance from here to there. That's why this is a foot. Okay? Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that from 0 to the end, we have to get 12 inches. In this case, we have 24 lines. So what does that mean? If we have 24 lines, what does that mean?
There's 2 feet from like the 0 to the end.
Good observation, but remember, we have to get a foot. We have to. So we cannot get 2 feet from here. So what that means is that every line that you see represents half an inch, because we have 24 lines. We have to, no questions asked, we have to get 12 inches from 0 to the end. We have to. So if we have 24 lines, that means that it's counting up in increments of half. So it's half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
If I may ask, what's the most like common scale to use for a blueprint?
More than likely, you're gonna, if it's a house you're gonna print, it's gonna be probably like a 1/4 inch scale. Yeah, and the scale is gonna depend on several things. One of them is gonna be the sheet size you're gonna print it on, or you're gonna draw on. That's gonna determine the scale. You have a bigger sheet, you can make it bigger. Smaller sheet, it has to be smaller. And then the type of drawing that you're doing. If you're doing a site plan, for example, the scale is going to be much bigger, they go much smaller than if you're doing cabinets or the sections of a cabinet. You're going to get a bigger scale because you can zoom in a lot more. So it depends on the sheet and depends on the drawing, the scale. Good question. Now, let's look, just to clarify, now let's look at the 1/4 scale. All right, let's look at the 1/4 scale. It's the same basic concept. You always look for 0 on the scale. Well, first you look at the number. So that's a 1/4 scale, right? And the 1/4 scale is reading from right to left. So we find 0 and we find the feet. Okay, so where are the feet? I see a 2, I see a 4. Okay, so he's going up in increments from right to left. So that means I'm going to use the bottom numbers as feet. Okay, so if I just use my common sense, if this is 2, well, that should be 1. Right, so this is 1, that's 2, that line's 3, this is 4, that's 5, that's 6, and so on and so forth. Okay, now I look at the inches. Remember, I have to get 12 inches from here to here. Notice that I'm saying 12 inches. I'm not saying 12 lines, because you're not going to have 12 lines for all of them. But you need to figure out so you get 12 inches. All right? So if you count, Diana, go ahead and count how many lines you have on the 1/4 scale.
12.
12. What does that mean? Anybody? What does that mean? If we have 12 lines, what is the
1 foot?
The value? What's that? Go ahead.
1 foot.
It's a foot from here to here, and we have 12 lines. It means that each line that we have here, it's an inch. Okay, we have 12. That means it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Why? Because we always need to get we have to get 12 inches from 0 to the end. So it doesn't matter the lines you have. You need to get 12. So in other words, you can count by inches. Like in this case, each line represents an inch. In the half scale, we had 24 lines, so every line represents ½ inch. Half, 1, 1.5, because we had 24 lines. Watch this one. I'm going to shift it to the other end. Now we have 1/8. 1/8 runs from left to right. Let's find the feet first. So this is 0. I'm going to look for the numbers that go up in increments. I see 4, I see 8, right? 48 and 40, what is it? Yeah, 46, 44, 42. Those are not it because they're going down. And I need the numbers that are going out. I'm counting. So I find 0. I look for the numbers that are going up in increments. So I see 4, I see 6, I see 12. Okay. So just by that, I'm going to use the numbers that are a little bit higher. Then I figure it out. Okay. So if this is 4, if this is 0, and this is 4, well, that means that this is 1, that is 2, that is 3. Okay, that's 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Are you guys getting it? It might be a little bit confusing in the beginning, but it's just a matter of understanding the concept. We're good?
Yes.
Awesome. So now, Diana, how many lines do we have from 0 to the end on an 1/8 scale?
6.
6? So what does that mean?
Every line is 2 inches.
Exactly. Perfect. That's what it means. Every line is 2 inches. We only have 6 lines here. That means that we go in increments of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. That's the same concept for whatever scale you want to use. Now, there's some bigger scales. Look, for example, at the 3-inch scale. Look at the 3-inch scale. We have to get, and this gives us a visual, from 0 to the end, we have to get 12 inches. Do we have 12 lines here? No, we have a lot more than 12 lines. Right? This is 3 inches, 6 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches. But in between, that's 1 inch. And then in between, that's ½ inch. In between, that's a quarter inch. So on the 3-inch scale, we're going in increments of 1/8. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, and you keep on going until you get 12 inches. Okay, so that's the same concept for all the different scales. First, you find 0. 0 divides inches and feet. Feet are going to be the bigger increments. Inches are going to be the smaller increments. Right? How do you, when you're sharing scales, let me go to another one. When you're sharing scales, remember that first you need to figure out what numbers am I looking at, the high numbers or the low numbers visually. In this case, the 3/8 scale, we have 2, we have 4. Okay, I'm looking at the small numbers, the ones higher. And then I figure it out. This is 2, that means this is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you keep on going. These are the feet. The inches are going to be from 0 to the end. We have to get from 0 to the end 12 inches. Doesn't matter the lines that we have. We need to get 12 inches. What that means is that we have to figure out the value of each of those individual lines so that when we go from 0 to the end, we get 12 inches.